I am sitting in this cold holding cell staring at concrete walls that smell like bleach and regret. The metal bars in front of me cast shadows across the floor, and all I can think about is the look on my father's face when he watched the cops put handcuffs on me. Not concern, not confusion, just pure disappointment. How did I end up here? My own father put me behind bars because of one lie. One calculated, venomous lie from someone I tried to accept as family. It all started 3 weeks ago when my stepsister walked into my apartment with tears in her eyes. Before I tell you how a single lie destroyed everything I built and how I fought back against the two people who were supposed to love me most, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. Hit that like button and subscribe, because this story gets darker before it gets better, and you will want to see how I turned the tables on them. Trust me, you will not believe how deep this betrayal goes. My name is Jose. I am 28 years old, and up until 3 weeks ago, I thought I had my life figured out. I work as a software engineer in Seattle, pulling in a solid 6-figure salary at a tech company. I have my own apartment in Capitol Hill, a decent car, good friends, and what I thought was a stable family. But let me back up a bit so you understand how I got here. My mom died when I was 16. Cancer. It was brutal watching her fade away over 2 years, and when she finally passed, it felt like someone ripped half my soul out. My dad took it even harder. He basically shut down for years, throwing himself into work, barely talking to anyone. I understood. Grief does strange things to people. 4 years ago, Dad met Linda at some community event. She was 45, divorced, and seemed nice enough. She had this warm smile and would bring casseroles to our house, always asking how we were doing. I was happy for Dad. After 12 years of loneliness, he deserved companionship. They got married pretty quickly, maybe too quickly, but who was I to judge? I just wanted him to be happy again. Linda came with a daughter, Amber. She was 25, 3 years younger than me, and worked in marketing. When we first met at the engagement dinner, she seemed friendly and easygoing. She laughed at my jokes, asked about my work, and told me she was excited to have an older brother. I remember thinking this might actually work out. For the first year, everything seemed fine. We would have family dinners every Sunday at Dad and Linda's place. Amber would show up with wine. Linda would cook this massive spread, and we would sit around the table talking about work, politics, whatever. Dad seemed lighter, happier. That was all that mattered to me. I tried my best to be a good stepbrother. When Amber's laptop crashed and she lost a bunch of work files, I spent 5 hours recovering them. When she needed money to cover rent 1 month because her roommate bailed, I loaned her $800 without hesitation. She paid me back eventually, but it took 3 months and several reminders. When she was job hunting last year, I connected her with a recruiter at a marketing firm through my professional network. She landed a position there, making decent money. Dad would always thank me for being so welcoming to his new family. He would put his hand on my shoulder and say things like, "I am proud of you, son. You have got a good heart." Those words meant everything to me. After Mom died, I felt like I had to be strong for him. Being kind to Linda and Amber was part of that. But about 6 months ago, I started noticing things that did not sit right. Little things at first. Amber would text me late at night, usually after 11, asking random questions about my job. Not casual stuff like "how was your day," but specific things. How much does a senior software engineer make in Seattle? Do you get stock options? What is your bonus structure like? At first, I thought she was just curious about the tech industry, maybe considering a career change. I would answer vaguely and change the subject. Then she started asking about my apartment. Do you own or rent? What is the market value in your neighborhood? Are you planning to buy property soon? It felt intrusive, but I brushed it off. Maybe she was thinking about moving to Capitol Hill herself. The questions got weirder. One Sunday dinner, Amber asked if Mom had left me anything when she passed. The table went silent. Dad looked uncomfortable. I said yes, there was a trust fund, but I did not want to discuss it. Linda jumped in, quickly changing the subject to something about a sale at Nordstrom. But I caught Amber and Linda exchanging a look. Just a quick glance, but it made my stomach turn. Linda started asking about my future plans too. Are you seeing anyone seriously? Do you want to get married? Have you thought about writing a will? That last question threw me. I was 28 and healthy. Why would I need a will? She laughed it off, saying everyone should have their affairs in order. Still, it felt strange. I mentioned it to my friend Marcus over beers one night. He is the kind of guy who calls it like he sees it, no filter. Marcus said, "Bro, that is sketchy." "Why are they so interested in your finances?" I shrugged it off. "They are family," I said. "Family is curious about each other." Marcus just shook his head and said, "If you say so, man. Just watch your back." I should have listened to him. 3 weeks ago, everything fell apart. It was a Tuesday night, around 10 p.m. I was home watching Netflix, winding down after a long day of debugging code. My doorbell rang. I checked the peephole and saw Amber standing there, mascara running down her face. Eyes red and puffy. I opened the door immediately. She was sobbing, could barely get words out. I finally understood she was saying her boyfriend had kicked her out. They had gotten into a huge fight. He threw her stuff on the lawn, told her to never come back. She had nowhere to go. All her friends were out of town or could not host her. What was I supposed to do? She was family. I let her in, gave her some tissues, made her tea. She cried on my couch for an hour, while I sat in the armchair across from her, trying to be supportive. I offered to call Dad, but she begged me not to. She did not want him to worry or think less of her for the failed relationship. Eventually, she calmed down enough to fall asleep on the couch. I grabbed a blanket from my closet, draped it over her, and went to my bedroom. I set my alarm for 6:30 a.m. because I had an early morning meeting. The next morning I got up, showered, got dressed for work. Amber was still asleep on the couch. I did not want to wake her. I grabbed my spare apartment key from the drawer and left it on the kitchen counter with a note saying she should lock up when she left and drop the key in my mailbox. I figured she would be gone by noon. Then I left for work around 6:45. My morning was busy. Back-to-back meetings, code reviews, the usual chaos. I did not think about Amber at all. I assumed she went back to her boyfriend's place or found somewhere else to stay. Then my phone rang at 2:30 p.m. It was Dad. His voice was cold hard, in a way I had never heard before. "Jose, you need to come to the house right now." I asked what was wrong. "Just get here," he said, and hung up. My stomach dropped. I told my manager I had a family emergency and drove to Dad's place in Bellevue. The whole drive my mind was racing. Was Dad okay? Did something happen to Linda? I walked in the front door without knocking. The scene in the living room made my blood run cold. Amber was sitting on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, tears streaming down her face. Linda had her arms around her, rocking her gently. Dad was standing by the fireplace, his face, red hands clenched into fists. I said, "What is going on?" Dad did not answer. He just stared at me with an expression I had never seen before. Disgust, pure disgust. Amber looked up at me, her eyes wide and terrified, and said in this small, broken voice, "How could you do that to me, Jose? I thought I could trust you, do what I was completely lost." Amber started sobbing harder. Linda stroked her hair and said, "It is okay, sweetie. You are safe now." Dad finally spoke. His voice was shaking. "Amber told us what you did last night. I felt like the ground disappeared beneath my feet." "What are you talking about?" "I did not do anything." Amber's voice got louder, more hysterical. "You attacked me, Jose. You tried to force yourself on me while I was sleeping." The words hit me like a physical blow. "What? No, that is insane." I was nowhere near you. I left for work before you even woke up." She shook her head violently. "No, it happened at 6 a.m. right before you left. You came into the living room, you started touching me, you ripped my shirt." She pulled the blanket aside slightly, showing a torn collar on her blouse. Then she held up her arm. There were bruises, dark purple marks on her pale skin. I felt sick. This cannot be happening. "Dad, you know me. You know I would never ever do something like that." But Dad was not looking at me the way a father looks at his son. He was looking at me like I was a stranger, a monster. "Do you have any idea what you have done? Do you understand what this means? I have proof I was not there. I left at 6:45. The building has cameras in the hallway." I kept talking, trying to make them understand, but nobody was listening. Linda cut me off. She says it happened at 6 a.m. Jose, before you left. But that is impossible. I was in my room getting ready for work. I never went near the living room until I left the key. And the note, Amber screamed, "You are lying. You are a liar." She collapsed into Linda's arms, sobbing so hard her whole body shook. Dad walked toward me slowly. I could see his hands trembling. "You need to take responsibility for your actions, Jose. I raised you better than this." I felt my eyes burning. "Dad, please. You have known me my entire life. You know I would never hurt anyone, especially not family. This is a misunderstanding." Linda looked up at me with cold eyes. "We already called the police. They are on their way." My heart stopped. "What?" "You heard me. Amber is pressing charges. You are going to face the consequences of what you did." I looked at Dad, desperate. "Are you really going to let this happen? Are you going to let them destroy me over a lie?" He turned away from me. "I cannot look at you right now." 5 minutes later, 2 police officers walked through the front door. Linda must have called them before I even arrived. One was an older guy with gray hair, the other was younger, probably in his 30s. They asked Amber to explain what happened. She told her story through tears, describing an attack that never occurred. The older cop looked at me. "Sir, we need you to come with us to the station for questioning. I am innocent. This is a lie. She is lying. You can explain everything at the station. Please turn around and put your hands behind your back." I looked at Dad one more time. He was staring at the floor. "Please, Dad. Please believe me." He did not respond. The cold metal of the handcuffs bit into my wrists. They walked me out of the house in front of the neighbors. Mrs. Peterson from next door was watering her garden. She stopped and stared. I saw her pull out her phone. Great. By tomorrow, everyone would think I was a predator. They put me in the back of the police car. Through the window, I could see Amber standing by the living room window watching. For just a second, her expression changed. The tears stopped. Her face went blank, almost calculating. Then she turned away. That look haunted me the entire drive to the station. The holding cell was exactly like you see in movies. Gray walls, metal bench toilet in the corner, with no privacy, fluorescent lights that buzzed constantly. I sat there for hours while they processed paperwork. A public defender showed up eventually, a tired-looking woman in her 40s named Patricia. She sat across from me in an interrogation room and laid out the situation. "You are being charged with attempted sexual assault. If convicted, you are looking at 5 to 10 years in prison. Your life will be over. You will be a registered sex offender. You will lose your job, your reputation, everything." I kept repeating I did not do it. She did not seem to believe me. "They all say that," she said flatly. I spent that first night in the holding cell staring at the ceiling, trying to understand how this happened. How did my life implode in less than 12 hours? I kept replaying the morning. I woke up. I showered. I got dressed. I left the key and walked out. At no point did I go near Amber. At no point did I touch her. But she had bruises. She had a torn shirt. How unless she did it to herself. The thought made me feel crazy. Why would someone do that? Why would Amber destroy my life? Then I remembered all those questions. The trust fund. My finances. Linda asking about my will. I sat up on that hard metal bench. Oh, God. They wanted something from me. This was not about revenge or some twisted attraction. This was about money. The next morning, I was allowed one phone call. I dialed Marcus immediately. He answered on the second ring. Jose, where the hell are you, man? You did not show up to work. I am in jail, Marcus. Silence. Then, I explained everything as quickly as I could. Marcus listened without interrupting. When I finished, he said, That is absolutely insane. You know I believe you right. 100%. I need help. I need someone to check the security cameras at my building. The footage will prove I left before 6:45. It will show I was not there when she claims it happened. On it, I will call the building manager right now. Hang tight, bro. We are going to fix this. That phone call gave me the first spark of hope I had felt since this nightmare started. Marcus worked fast. By that afternoon, he had contacted my building manager and explained the situation. The manager agreed to pull the footage from the hallway cameras. Marcus came to the jail to visit me during visiting hours. He looked exhausted but determined. Okay, so I got the footage. You left your apartment at exactly 6:45 a.m., just like you said. That matches your story. So that proves she is lying about the time. Hold on. It gets weirder. The footage also shows Amber leaving your apartment at 11:30 a.m. She walked out, locked the door, and left. Okay, so she stayed until mid-morning. That makes sense. Yeah, but here is the thing. Marcus leaned closer. She came back at 2 p.m. with Linda. They went into your apartment together, and they did not leave until 4. What? Why would they go back? I do not know, man, but it does not add up. Why would she return to the place where she was supposedly attacked? And why bring her mom? They were in there for 2 hours. I felt my hands shaking. They were planting evidence. Or looking for something. Marcus nodded slowly. That is what I am thinking too. This whole thing stinks. We need a better lawyer than the public defender, someone who specializes in false accusations. I do not have that kind of money right now. Everything is frozen. Marcus pulled out his phone. I already made some calls. There is a lawyer named Trevor who handles cases like this. He is expensive, but he said he will meet with you. I told him your situation. He thinks you have a strong case. Thank you. I do not know what I would do without you. You would do the same for me. Now let us get you out of here. Trevor showed up the next day. He was in his early 50s, sharp suit, silver hair, intense blue eyes. He sat across from me in the visiting room and listened to my entire story without taking notes. Just listened. When I finished, he said, You have been set up, and I think I know why. Tell me about your mother's estate. I explained the trust fund. My mother had been smart with money. When she knew the cancer was terminal, she set up a trust for me. $800,000. I would receive full access when I turned 30, which was in 2 years. Until then, it was managed by a financial advisor. Trevor nodded. And if something happens to you, if you die or are declared incompetent, it goes to my next of kin, my dad. And if your dad dies, then it goes to his spouse. I stopped. Linda. Exactly. Trevor leaned back. Let me do some digging. I will get back to you in 48 hours. True to his word, Trevor returned 2 days later with a file folder full of documents. He spread them across the table. Here is what I found. Amber was fired from her marketing job 3 months ago. She has $16,000 in credit card debt. Linda has $150,000 in debt. They are drowning financially. I stared at the papers. So this was about money all along. It gets worse. Trevor pulled out another document. Linda took out a $2 million life insurance policy on your father 2 months ago. My blood went cold. What she is, the beneficiary. If something happens to your dad, she walks away with $2 million plus access to your trust fund once he inherits it. They are planning to kill him. I cannot prove that, but the timeline is suspicious. And there is more. Trevor showed me another document. Linda met with an estate attorney last week. They discussed having you declared mentally incompetent to manage your own finances. If they succeed, your father would be appointed as your guardian, which means Linda would control your money. This is insane. How is this legal? It is not. But they are counting on you being in prison or discredited enough that nobody listens to you. Trevor closed the folder. We need to prove their motive and show that Amber is lying. The security footage helps, but it is not enough. We need something concrete, something that shows their intent. Like what? Like their communications. Text messages, emails, anything that shows they planned this. I thought about it. Amber keeps everything on her phone. She is obsessive about documenting things. If there is proof, it will be there. Then we need to get access to that phone. But I am not allowed anywhere near her. I have a restraining order. Trevor smiled slightly. You are not allowed near her. But your friend Marcus is not under any legal restrictions, is he? The plan came together quickly. Marcus would reach out to Amber pretending to be a potential employer. He worked in tech recruiting, so it would not be suspicious. He would set up a coffee meeting to discuss a job opportunity. During that meeting, he would find a way to access her phone long enough to clone the data. It was risky. If Amber suspected anything, we were done, but it was our only shot. Marcus made the call 3 days later. He used his professional voice, the one he used for cold calling candidates. He told Amber that his company was looking for a marketing specialist, and her name had come up through industry connections. Would she be interested in discussing the position? Amber said yes immediately. They met at a Starbucks in downtown Seattle the following Tuesday. Marcus wore his recruiter outfit, button-down shirt and khakis, carried a leather portfolio. He showed up 20 minutes early and texted me updates. Trevor had arranged for a tech specialist to give Marcus a small USB device that could clone phone data in under 2 minutes. Amber arrived right on time. Marcus said she looked put together, professional, like nothing had happened. They sat at a corner table. Marcus launched into his pitch about this fake marketing position, talking about competitive salary benefits, growth opportunities. Amber was eating it up. 15 minutes into the conversation, Marcus suggested they look at some campaign examples he had on his tablet. He set it up on the table. Amber put her phone down next to her coffee cup to focus on the screen. Marcus kept her attention on the tablet for another 5 minutes, discussing strategy and metrics. Then he said, "I'm going to grab another coffee." "Can I get you anything?" Amber said. She was fine. As Marcus stood up, he knocked over his leather portfolio. Papers went everywhere. Amber immediately bent down to help pick them up. While she was distracted under the table, Marcus grabbed her phone, plugged in the USB device, and held it. 90 seconds. That was all it took. The little USB device blinked green. Done. Marcus unplugged it, slipped it into his pocket, and set the phone back on the table. When Amber sat back up, she did not notice anything. Her phone was exactly where she left it. Marcus returned with his coffee and stretched the conversation another 15 minutes to make it seem natural. He told Amber they would be in touch soon about next steps. She smiled, thanked him for the opportunity, and left. Marcus called me immediately after. We got it. That evening, Trevor, Marcus, and I met in Trevor's office. The tech specialist extracted all the data from Amber's phone. Texts, photos, emails, everything. We spent 3 hours going through it, and then we found it. Text messages between Amber and Linda, starting 2 months ago. Amber, Mom, I found out about Jose's trust fund. $800,000. He gets it in 2 years. Linda, are you serious? That changes everything. Amber, if something happened to him, it would go to his dad, right, Linda? And then to me, if something happened to Robert. Amber, we could finally pay off everything. Start over. The messages continued. They discussed different scenarios. At first, they talked about trying to convince me to loan them money. Then the conversations got darker. Linda, what if Jose had an accident? Amber, too risky. People would suspect us. Linda, you are right. We need something that ruins him but keeps him alive, at least until we can access the money. Amber, what if he did something terrible, something that would make Robert disown him, Linda? Like what, Amber? I do not know. Let me think about it. 2 weeks later, another exchange. Amber, I have an idea. What if I said Jose attacked me? Robert would believe me over him. Jose would go to jail. While he is locked up, we could work on getting him declared incompetent. Robert would become his guardian. Linda, that is brilliant, but you would need proof. Amber, I can create proof. Bruises are easy. A torn shirt. Some tears. Robert will eat it up. Linda, when Amber soon. I will create an opportunity. There were dozens more messages, planning every detail. How Amber would show up at my apartment. How she would stage the scene the next morning. How Linda would call the police. How they would play the devastated family. One message stood out. Linda, what about Robert? He is going to be difficult once he inherits Jose's money. Amber, do not worry. The life insurance policy will take care of that problem eventually. Trevor looked at me. This is it. This proves everything. Premeditation, conspiracy, fraud. They are done. Trevor took the evidence directly to the police. Within 24 hours, detectives brought Amber and Linda in for questioning. I was not there, but Trevor told me what happened. They separated them into different interrogation rooms. They started with Amber. The lead detective, a woman named Sarah Kim, laid out the phone records on the table. She did not say anything at first, just let Amber read through them. Amber's face apparently went from confident to confused to terrified in about 30 seconds. She tried to claim her phone had been hacked. Detective Kim did not buy it. She laid out the evidence piece by piece. The security footage showing Amber returning to my apartment with Linda. The financial records showing their debt. The life insurance policy. Amber broke. She started crying, real crying this time, not the fake tears she had used before. She admitted everything, the plan, the lies, the staged attack. She claimed it was mostly Linda's idea, that she had been pressured into it. She said she felt terrible but did not know how to stop it once it started. In the other room, Linda tried to hold out longer. She denied everything until they told her Amber had already confessed. Then, her story fell apart too. She tried to blame Amber, saying her daughter was mentally unstable and made everything up on her own. But the text messages proved Linda was the mastermind. My father was brought in to hear the confessions. Trevor told me Dad just sat there silent as the detectives played the recordings. When it was over, he asked to see me. They arranged a meeting in a secure room at the police station. I was technically still in custody, waiting for the charges to be formally dropped. Dad walked in looking 20 years older than the last time I saw him. His eyes were red. He had not shaved. He sat down across from me and just stared at the table for a long time. Finally, he said, "I do not know what to say to you, Jose." I did not respond. What could I say? I failed you. I should have believed you. You are my son. I have known you for 28 years. I watched you grow up. I know the man you are, and I chose to believe her word over yours. His voice cracked. I waited. He kept going. I was so desperate for this family to work. After your mother died, I was so lonely. When Linda came into my life, I thought I had been given a second chance. I did not want to see the truth because the truth meant I was alone again. That does not make it okay, I said quietly. I know. He looked up at me finally. His eyes were filled with tears. I know it does not. And I will spend the rest of my life trying to make this right, even though I know I never can. You went to jail because of me. Your career was almost destroyed. Your reputation. Everything. Because I did not believe you. What happens now? I asked. Linda and Amber are being charged with multiple felonies. Conspiracy. To commit fraud. Filing a false police report, perjury. Linda is also being investigated for the life insurance policy. Their lawyer says they are looking at serious prison time. Good, I said. I meant it. I have filed for divorce. Dad wiped his eyes. Everything Linda owns is being seized to pay legal fees. I am working with your lawyer to get you compensated by the state for wrongful imprisonment. I do not want your money. It is not my money, Jose. It is what you are owed. Trevor says you could get a substantial settlement. He paused. I am also setting up a formal apology in writing, if you will accept it. For the legal record, I need time, Dad. I cannot just forget what happened. I understand. Take all the time you need. I will be here when you are ready. If you are ever ready. He stood up to leave. At the door, he turned back. I love you, son. I know I have got no right to say that after what I have done, but it is true. I hope someday you can forgive me. I watched him walk out. Part of me wanted to call him back to tell him I forgave him right then. But I could not. The wound was too deep. All charges against me were formally dropped 3 days later. The prosecutor apologized personally. The police department issued a statement clearing my name. My company released a public message supporting me and reaffirming that my position was secure. I moved out of my apartment. Too many bad memories. I found a new place in Fremont closer to Marcus. Smaller, but it felt safer. Amber and Linda went to trial 4 months later. The evidence was overwhelming. Amber took a plea deal and got 3 years in prison. Linda refused to plea and went to full trial. The jury found her guilty on all counts. She got 7 years. I did not attend the sentencing. Trevor went on my behalf and sent me updates. He said Linda showed no remorse even at the end. She actually blamed me for ruining her life. The judge was not sympathetic. The state settled my wrongful imprisonment claim for $250,000. It felt like blood money, but Trevor said I should take it. You lost months of your life, he said. You deserve compensation. I donated half of it to an organization that helps people wrongly convicted of crimes. The rest went into savings. The hardest part was dealing with my father. He called every week. At first, I did not answer. Then I started picking up but keeping conversations short. He never pushed. He just told me he loved me and asked how I was doing. Sometimes I talked. Sometimes I did not. 6 months after everything fell apart, I agreed to meet him for coffee. We met at a park near Green Lake, the same park where he used to take me when I was a kid. We sat on a bench, overlooking the water. We talked for 2 hours. He told me how he had been going to therapy, working through why he made the choice he did. He said he realized he had been so afraid of losing his new family that he abandoned his real one. Me. I told him I was working through my own trauma, that I had started seeing a therapist too, that I was learning to trust people again, but it was hard. I do not expect you to trust me again, he said. I broke that. But I want you to know, I am going to spend every day trying to be the father I should have been. We did not hug when we left, but we shook hands. It was a start. Over the next year, we slowly rebuilt something. Not the relationship we had before. That was gone. But something new, something more honest. We met for coffee once a month. Sometimes we talked about what happened. Sometimes we avoided it completely and talked about work, sports, anything else. Marcus never let me forget what he did. Every time we grabbed beers, he would joke about being my personal investigator. But I knew the truth. Without him, I would still be in jail, or worse. I learned a lot about human nature through this nightmare. I learned that some people will do anything for money, even destroy someone who never hurt them. I learned that trust is fragile, and once it is broken, it takes years to repair. I learned that blood does not automatically make someone family. But I also learned that family is not always about blood. Marcus proved that. Trevor proved that. The friends who stood by me when everyone else disappeared proved that. I still think about that moment in the holding cell, staring at the concrete walls, wondering how my life fell apart so fast. I think about Amber's calculated tears and Linda's cold planning. I think about my father's face when the cops put handcuffs on me. But mostly I think about what I did to fight back. How I did not give up even when everything seemed hopeless. How I found people who believed in me when my own father did not. How I took my life back from people who tried to steal it. That jail cell taught me more about human nature than any book ever could. Some people will do anything for money, and they will justify it every step of the way. But the ones who stand by you, when the world turns against you, those are the family you choose. And sometimes that is the only family that matters. As for my father, I still do not know if I will ever fully trust him again. Maybe that is okay. Maybe some relationships are not meant to be what they were before. Maybe they are meant to be something different, something more careful, more earned. But I learned that forgiveness is not really about them. It is about freeing yourself from the prison of anger. I spent enough time in an actual prison. I was not going to spend the rest of my life in a mental one. Linda and Amber are serving their sentences. I do not think about them much anymore. They made their choices. They are living with the consequences. That is justice enough for me. They are living with the consequences. That is justice enough for me. My trust fund came through when I turned 30 last year. $800,000, just like Mom planned. I used some of it to start a small nonprofit that helps people who have been falsely accused, because I know what that feels like. And if I can help even one person avoid what I went through, then maybe something good came from all of this. I am dating someone now. Her name is Katie. She is a teacher. We met at a community event of all places. I told her my story on our third date because I did not want to hide it. She listened without judgment and said, "You survived something terrible and you came out stronger. That is what matters." I do not know where this relationship is going, but I am learning to trust again. Slowly, carefully, but it is happening. Life is strange. 3 years ago, I was sitting in a jail cell, convinced my life was over. Today, I have got my career back, good people around me, and a future that does not feel quite so dark. I still have bad days. Sometimes I wake up and remember that feeling of the handcuffs closing around my wrists. Sometimes I see a woman who looks like Amber from behind, and my heart starts racing. But those moments are getting less frequent. The biggest lesson I learned through all of this is that you cannot control what other people do to you. You can only control how you respond. I could have given up. I could have let their lies destroy me. Instead, I fought back. I found the truth. I cleared my name. That is power they can never take away from me. So if you are going through something similar, if someone has lied about you, if people do not believe you, if you feel like giving up, please do not. Keep fighting. Find the people who will stand with you. Look for the truth, even when it is buried under layers of deception. Because the truth always has a way of coming out. And remember, the prison of other people's lies is only as strong as you let it be. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted? Maybe not to this extreme, but have you felt that knife in your back from someone who was supposed to care about you? Drop your story in the comments. Let me know I am not alone in this. And if you found this story valuable, if it moved you or made you think, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who is fighting their own battle against false accusations or family betrayal. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for believing me when so many others did not. I hope wherever you are, whatever you are facing, you find the strength to fight back. You deserve justice. You deserve truth. And you deserve people in your life who will stand by you no matter what. Stay strong out there, and remember, the truth always wins in the end. Always.